The Cathari envoy ship drifted through the velvet blackness just beyond the edge of Earth's solar system. It moved silently, as all Cathari vessels did. No roaring engines, no pulsing thrusters, just a smooth glide through folded space. Inside, High Emissary Vrel sat cross-legged on a floating meditation disc, her 4 slender arms resting calmly against her lap. Her silver eyes, large and pupil-less, stared at the star ahead. Sol, the humans called it. Third planet from the star, Earth. Vrel had spent over 200 years as a diplomat for the Galactic Concord. She had welcomed the warlike Xylos into the fold after their civil wars ended. She had calmed the hive mind Zarn when their scholars accused the insectoid Mir of stealing genetic archives. She had even negotiated peace between 2 gas giants that communicated only through magnetic pulses. But Earth was different. The Concord had watched humanity for nearly a century. Their rise was too fast. They went from splitting atoms to folding space in less than 200 years. Most species took millennia to reach that point. And yet, unlike others, humanity had not sent out exploration fleets or hailed passing traders. They stayed quiet. Too quiet. Now, Vrel was here to change that. Her ship, the Whisper of Accord, carried no weapons. Only gifts, seed libraries from 100 worlds, translations of galactic law, and a data crystal containing the full history of the Concord. It was standard protocol for first contact. Most species wept with joy. Some panicked. A few even fired warning shots. But all eventually spoke. Vrel sent the standard greeting, a multi-frequency burst containing mathematical primes, peace symbols, and her own biosignature. She waited. Minutes passed. Then hours. No reply came. She tried again, this time using Terran Standard English, which Concord linguists had pieced together from old radio broadcasts and satellite chatter. This is High Emissary Vrel of the Galactic Concord. We come in peace. We wish to speak with your leaders. Silence. Not static. Not interference. Just nothing. Vrel frowned. Cathari didn't frown often. Their faces were smooth. Emotion rarely shone outwardly, but inside, unease stirred. She ordered her ship closer, easing past the orbit of Neptune. Still nothing. No defense satellites. No patrol ships. Only a few ancient human machines, tumbling in slow decay around dead planets. Then, as she crossed the orbit of Mars, a voice finally crackled over her comms. Unidentified vessel, you are entering restricted space. Identify yourself and state your purpose. The voice was calm. Human. Female. It carried no fear, no excitement, just cold clarity. Vrel straightened. I am High Emissary Vrel of the Cathari, representing the Galactic Concord. We seek peaceful dialogue with the people of Earth. A pause. Then, please remain at your current position. Do not proceed further. A delegation will meet you shortly. Vrel obeyed. She watched as 3 small human ships emerged from the darkness near the moon. They were fast, sleek things more like blades than ships. No visible weapons, but Vrel could sense the power humming in their frames. They formed a triangle around her vessel and held position. Then a larger ship arrived, a blunt, blocky thing compared to the elegant arcs of Concord design. It had no glowing runes, no shimmering shields, just thick armor and rows of dark ports that might be weapons or sensors. It docked silently with her ship, magnetic clamps hissing as they locked into place. Moments later, a human walked into her chamber. He wore a dark gray uniform with no rank insignia. His face was lined but calm. His eyes, brown and sharp, met hers without flinching. He did not bow, did not smile, just stood there, hands clasped behind his back. I'm Director Allen, he said. United Earth Government, First Contact Office. Vrel rose slowly. It is an honor, she said, bowing her head slightly. Director Arlen nodded once. You're not in honor. You're in violation of UEG Space Directive Alpha 9. No foreign vessel is permitted within the sole exclusion zone without prior clearance. Vrel blinked. I did not know of this directive. Now you do, he said. We've monitored your approach since you entered the Orc cloud. We allowed you to come this far as a courtesy. A courtesy? Vrel's voice softened. Then, you knew we were coming? Of course, Arlen said. We've known about the Concord for 63 years. We've listened to your broadcasts, watched your fleets, studied your treaties. We even decoded your encryption last decade. Vrel's inner calm shattered for a split second. No species had ever cracked Concord encryption. Not even the Zarn, with their hive intellects. And yet, she said carefully, you never responded. Why? Arlen's expression didn't change. Because we weren't ready. And you weren't ready either. I don't understand. You assume diplomacy is a gift, Arlen said. But it's a responsibility. One your Concord isn't equipped to handle with us. Vrel stepped forward, her voice gentle. We mean no harm. The Concord offers knowledge, trade, alliance. We can help you avoid the mistakes we've made: wars, plagues, ecological collapse. We've already avoided them, Arlen said. On our own. He turned and gestured to the window. Beyond it, Earth glowed blue, white, alive. We fought world wars. We poisoned our skies. We stood on the edge of extinction more than once. But we pulled back, not because aliens showed up with wisdom, but because we chose to. Vrel hesitated. Then you reject our offer. I'm not rejecting anything, Arlen said. I'm deferring it. Humanity isn't joining your council. We won't accept embassies, trade routes, or shared technology. Not now, maybe not ever. Vrel's forehands tightened slightly. This is unprecedented. Every species seeks connection. Not us, Arlen said. We've seen what happens when civilizations rush into galactic politics. Whole cultures vanish absorbed, rewritten, forgotten. We won't let that happen to ours. But isolation breeds fear. Fear breeds worse, Arlen countered. Arrogance, dependency, the belief that someone else will save you. We save ourselves. He turned back to her. You may stay in orbit for 12 hours to replenish your systems. After that, you must leave. Tell your Concord. We're watching, but we're not participating. Vrel wanted to argue, to plead, to explain how rare this opportunity was. But something in Arlen's eyes stopped her. It wasn't hostility. It was resolve. The kind forged in fire and silence. May I at least leave the gifts? She asked quietly. Arlen considered it, then nodded. We'll accept the data crystal. The rest, take back. We don't need seeds from other worlds. Our soil is enough. He turned to leave, then paused. One more thing, emissary. Yes? If you send another ship before we call for you, it won't be welcomed. He didn't say we'll destroy it. He didn't need to. The warning hung in the air like a blade. Minutes later, Arlen and his ships were gone. The whisper of a cord floated alone again. The data crystal now sitting in its hold empty of everything but one file, labeled simply, for your eyes only. Do not share. Vrel didn't open it. Not yet. She stared at Earth a while longer. From here, it looked fragile. A pale blue dot in an ocean of stars. But Vrel knew better now. Fragile things break when pushed. Earth hadn't broken. It had simply closed its door. And that, she realized with growing awe, was more terrifying than any weapon. She ordered her ship to turn back toward the edge of the system. As the engines hummed to life, she sent one final message, not a demand, not a plea, but a whisper. to the people of Earth. We hear you. No reply came, but for the first time in her long life, Vrel felt small dot in Earth, impossibly, felt vast. The silence from Earth lasted for 3 long months. High Emissary Vrel returned to the Galactic Concord's central hub, vast orbital ring circling the gas giant Tarnus, and delivered her report. She spoke slowly, carefully, choosing each word as if walking on glass. She described Earth's quiet strength, their refusal of gifts, their calm warning. She even played the recording of Director Arlen's voice, flat and firm. We're watching, but we're not participating. The council chamber fell still. 47 species, some insect-like, some crystalline, some floating orbs of light listened in disbelief. Then the Xylos delegate slammed a clawed fist on the table. They insult us, he boomed. No species speaks to the Concord like that and walks away untouched. The Zarn scholars, their minds linked in silent debate, flickered with concern. Perhaps they fear us, one suggested through the shared channel. Or hide something. Vrel shook her head. They fear nothing, and they hide nothing. They simply choose not to engage. But the Concord did not understand choice without reason. In their long history, every species had wanted something: protection, technology, status. Humanity wanted none of it. That made no sense. And things that made no sense were dangerous. So the Concord sent a second delegation. This time, it was larger. 6 ships. Representatives from the Xylos, the Zarn, the Cathari, and 3 other major powers. They carried not just gifts, but questions, demands, really wrapped in polite language. They asked for Earth to explain its exclusion policy. They requested open space lanes through the Sol system. They even proposed a joint scientific mission. The fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system 2 weeks later. Once again, they broadcast their message in every known human language, plus mathematical and musical signals. Once again, they waited. For 12 hours, nothing. Then, as they drifted past Jupiter's orbit, a voice answered. This is UEG command. You are in violation of Space Directive Alpha 9. Turn back immediately. It was the same calm tone. No anger, no surprise. Just a statement of fact. The Xylos captain, General Krall, growled. We are representatives of the Galactic Concord. We will not be turned away like beggars. He ordered his ship forward. The other delegates hesitated, but followed. After all, the Concord had never been denied entry before. Surely humans would yield when faced with real presence. They crossed the orbit of Mars. That's when they saw it. A light appeared around Earth, not a flash, but a soft, golden shimmer, like heat rising from desert sand. It spread slowly, silently, until the entire inner solar system was wrapped in a dome of pale energy. Stars behind it dimmed. Sensors glitched. Communications fizzled. What is that? The Zarn lead scientist whispered. No one answered. Then, all at once, every ship in the delegation lost power. Not weapons. Not engines. Everything. Life support, lights, gravity, all gone for exactly 10 seconds. Then, just as suddenly, everything returned. But now, a new message played on every comms channel, in every language. You were warned. General Krall roared in fury. They dare attack a Concord fleet? They didn't attack, the Zarn scientist said, trembling. They showed us they could. The humans hadn't fired a shot. They hadn't even spoken harshly. They had simply switched off their technology, then switched it back on. Like flipping a light, the message was clear. We control this space. Not you. Still, the Xylos refused to retreat. We must press on, Krall insisted. If they will not talk, we will make them listen. The Cathari delegate, a junior envoy named Miral, tried to intervene. This is not diplomacy. This is provocation. But Krall would not be swayed. He ordered his warship, the Iron Fang, to move ahead at full speed, shields raised, weapons powered but not armed. He claimed he only wanted to test the barrier. The other ships hung back, watching. The Iron Fang hit the golden shimmer and stopped, not slowed, not deflected. It just halted, frozen in space, as if time itself had paused for that one ship. Its engines screamed, but it didn't move an inch. Its shields flickered and died. Alarms blared across the fleet's open channel. Then, gently, the golden barrier pushed, not with force, not with violence, but with irresistible calm. The Iron Fang began to drift backwards slowly at first, then faster, pulled away from Earth like a leaf on a quiet river. It passed Mars, then Jupiter, then Saturn, all while its crew shouted in panic. Finally, it stopped near Neptune's orbit. The barrier released it. Silence returned. The rest of the delegation stared in horror. They didn't destroy us, the Czarn whispered. They removed us, like dust from a table. Back at Concord headquarters, the report caused chaos. The Xylos demanded action. They humiliated us. We cannot let this stand. The Mir, a species of ancient diplomats, warned against escalation. Pride leads to ruin. We must understand them, not punish them. But fear had taken root. And fear, in the Concord, often dressed itself as law. After days of heated debate, the Council passed Resolution 447. Earth's behavior poses a potential threat to galactic stability. Until humanity opens dialogue and allows inspection of its defensive systems, the Sol system shall be placed under provisional containment. In plain terms, no ship could enter or leave Sol, and if Earth tried to expand beyond its system, the Concord would stop it. They sent a notice to Earth. No reply came. Not even static. Just silence. Frustrated and embarrassed, the Xylos pushed harder. They claimed humanity was hiding a superweapon, or a virus, or worse, some forbidden technology that could unravel the Concord's peace. They refused to talk because they're guilty. Krall declared in the council chamber, "We must inspect Earth, for everyone's safety." The vote was close, but fear won. The Concord authorized a peacekeeping armada, 300 warships from 12 species, led by the Xylos. Their mission: breach the Sol barrier, land observers on Earth, and ensure humanity posed no danger. It was not an invasion. Not officially. But everyone knew it might become one. As the armada gathered near the edge of human space, High Emissary Vrel watched from a distant observation post. She did not join them. She could not. She remembered Earth's pale blue glow. She remembered the quiet voice that said, "We save ourselves." Now, hundreds of warships prepared to test that resolve. Vrel closed her silver eyes and sent a silent wish, not to her gods, but to the humans. Please, don't make them regret this. Far ahead, the armada activated their gravitic lances. Their chronoton torpedoes warmed up. Their neural disruptors hummed to life. Weapons that had crushed rebellions, silenced planets, and ended wars in seconds. They moved as one toward the golden shimmer around Sol. And Earth. Earth said nothing. It just waited. The armada entered the Sol system like a storm. 300 ships, some sharp as knives, others bloated with weapons, all painted in the colors of their homeworlds, moved in perfect formation. At their head flew the Xylos flagship, Dreadmaw, its hull scarred from 100 battles. General Krall stood on the command deck, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the pale golden shimmer that wrapped around the inner planets like a silent wall. "Ready all weapons," he ordered. "We will break this barrier in 10 seconds. Around him, officers tensed. Even the calm Zarn scientists aboard the science vessel Mind's Eye held their breath. This was it. The moment Earth would either yield or fall. Fire. Gravity glanced his beams that twisted space itself lanced out first. They struck the barrier and vanished without a ripple. Not a spark. Not a crack. Just gone. Then came the Chronoton torpedoes, weapons that aged metal to dust in seconds. They hit the shimmer and stopped. Hanging in midair like toys tossed into water. Next, neural disruptors pulsed, sending waves meant to shut down all electronic thought. The barrier didn't flicker. Finally, the Xylos fired their plasma cannons, white-hot rivers of ionized gas that had melted asteroid bases to slag. The plasma struck the golden wall and simply stopped, as if hitting an invisible mirror. It pooled for a moment, then drained away into nothing. Silence filled the comms. What is this? Whispered a mere pilot from the rear lines. General Krall's face darkened. Again, full power. All ships concentrate fire on one point. For 5 full minutes, the Armada unleashed everything it had. Beams, missiles, gravity mines, sonic shrapnel, even experimental dark matter projectors. The sky around Earth should have burned. Space should have torn. But the barrier did not bend. It did not glow brighter. It did not react at all. It simply was. Then, without warning, the barrier changed. Not in anger. Not in threat. Just shifted. A soft hum filled every ship's hull, gentle, almost musical. Lights dimmed, then brightened. Gravity flickered. Then, every ship in the Armada felt it. A push, not a shove. Not a blast. Just a steady, calm pressure, like a giant hand placing them back where they belonged. The ships began to move. Engines off. Thrusters dead. Yet they slid backward smoothly, silently away from Earth. Past Mars, past Jupiter, faster and faster. Until they were flung beyond Neptune's orbit like pebbles tossed from a child's palm. The whole thing took less than 3 minutes. When the Armada stopped, every system rebooted on its own. No damage, no injuries, no missing data. Only one new file appeared in every ship's main computer that it opened automatically. On every screen, in every language known to the Concorde, 3 words glowed softly. You are not ready. General Krall stared at the words. His claws clenched so tight they drew blood. He wanted to scream, to order another attack. But even he felt it, the truth beneath those words. They hadn't been defeated. They'd been judged and found lacking. Back on the Zarn vessel, the lead scientist trembled. It's not a shield, she whispered to her crew. It's something else. Something we don't understand. On the Mir cruiser, an elder closed his many eyes. They did not fight us. They showed us our place. Across the Armada, silence spread, not the silence of defeat, but of awe. Meanwhile, on Earth, nothing changed. Cities buzzed. Children went to school. Trains ran on time. No celebrations. No broadcasts. Just life, as usual. Because to humanity, this wasn't a victory. It was a duty. Deep beneath the Himalayas, in a room lined with humming quantum cores, Director Arlen watched the Armada retreat on a simple screen. He sipped black coffee, his face unreadable. Did they learn anything? Asked the young analyst beside him. Arlen didn't answer right away. He stared at the image of 300 alien ships drifting helplessly in the outer dark. Maybe, he said at last. But probably not. He tapped a key. The screen went dark. Far above, the golden barrier remained quiet, patient, endless. Back at the Concorde hub, chaos erupted. The Xylos demanded war. They insulted us. They must be brought to heel. But others spoke more softly. Their power is unlike anything we've seen, said a Mir elder. They could have destroyed us. But they didn't. Why? The Zarn scholars uploaded the strange data packet Earth had sent. Not just words hidden within the message, were tiny pulses of quantum information. Mathematical patterns so advanced they made Zarn supercomputers stutter. One pattern showed a wave slow, silent, spreading from the galactic core. It wasn't energy. It wasn't matter. It was decay. A breakdown of cause and effect. Of time itself. The Zarn team worked for days. Then, pale with fear, they called an emergency session. "We were wrong," their leader said, voice shaking. "Earth isn't hiding a weapon. They're holding back something far worse." But the Concorde didn't believe them. Not yet. Only Vrel listened. She remembered the calm in Arlen's eyes. The way Earth didn't boast, didn't threaten, didn't even seem surprised when the Armada came. Now she understood. Humanity wasn't refusing diplomacy out of pride. They were refusing it out of mercy. Because some truths, once shared too soon, could break minds. Or entire civilizations. And the Concorde? The Concorde was not ready. So Earth stayed silent, not out of fear, but because they cared too much to lie. And too much to tell the truth just yet. As the Armada limped home, shamefaced and confused. One thing became clear to every species that watched. Humanity was not like them. They did not seek to rule. They did not seek to join. They stood alone, not because they were weak, but because they were strong enough to bear the weight of silence. And in that silence, the galaxy finally began to wonder what Earth was truly protecting them from. Not with weapons, but with wisdom. And that, more than any warship, more than any shield, terrified the stars. High Emissary Vrel had not slept in weeks. She drifted alone in her small observation pod near the edge of human space, staring at the golden shimmer around Sol. The Concorde had recalled her. They called her too soft. They said she let human silence cloud her judgment. But Vrel knew better. She had felt it, the truth hiding behind Earth's walls. It wasn't arrogance. It was something heavier. Something older than pride. One night, or what passed for a night in deep space, she did something no diplomat had ever done. She sent a message. Not as an envoy. Not as a representative of the Concorde. Just as herself. "People of Earth," she said, her voice quiet, raw with honesty. "I do not ask for secrets. I do not demand answers. I only ask why." She sent it on an open, unencrypted channel. No codes, no hidden meanings. Just words from one being to another. Then she waited. Hours passed. Then a day. She almost gave up. Then a signal came. Not a voice. Not a warning. Just a data stream, clean, calm, and massive. Terabytes of information poured into her ship's systems. Her screens filled with charts, equations, star maps, and logs unlike anything the Concorde had ever seen. At first, she didn't understand. But then she saw the pattern. It started in the galactic core billions of years ago. A slow ripple in the fabric of reality itself. Not radiation. Not gravity. Something deeper. Scientists called it entropic decay. It meant the laws of physics were weakening, because no longer always led to effect. Time frayed at the edges. Matter forgot how to stay solid. Most species never noticed. Their instruments weren't fine enough. Their minds weren't trained to see the cracks in existence, but humans had. For decades, Earth's best minds studied the anomaly. They watched as distant stars blinked out not from explosion, but from unmaking their atoms, simply losing the will to hold together. Galaxies far away began to behave strangely. Light bent the wrong way. Particles appeared where they shouldn't. Clocks ran backward in deep voids. The Concorde had dismissed it as noise, glitches, cosmic static. But humanity took it. Seriously. And they didn't run. They built not weapons, not ships. They built a causality anchor, a field that locked space, time, and physical law in place around their solar system. The golden shimmer wasn't a shield against ships or lasers. It was a patch over reality itself. A lifeboat in a sea of unraveling physics. And here was the worst part. Sharing this technology too soon would make things worse. Why? Because the anchor needed perfect stability. If another species tried to copy it without understanding the math, without having gone through the same pain, the same near extinctions, the same hard-won unity, they might create a flawed version. And a flawed anchor wouldn't hold reality together. It would tear it apart faster. That's why Earth stayed silent, not because they hated aliens, but because they loved the universe too much to risk it. Vrel read deeper. She saw logs from human scientists who worked themselves to death. She saw failed experiments that nearly broke time in their labs. She saw debates, fierce, tearful arguments about whether to tell anyone at all. In the end, they chose silence. They chose to stand guard alone. Because if they failed, no one else would even know the universe had ended. It would just stop making sense. Tears real, warm tears rolled down Vrel's silver cheeks. She had spent her life building bridges between stars. But humanity had built a dam against the end of everything. And never asked for thanks. She turned her ship toward the Concord hub, her heart heavy with shame and awe. When she arrived, she did not go to the main chamber. She went straight to the Zarn scholars, the mere elders, even the quiet observers from the smaller species. She shared everything, the data, the truth, the terrible weight Earth carried. At first, they didn't believe her. It's impossible, said a Xylos officer. No species could hold back entropy. But the Zarn ran the numbers, and the numbers did not lie. One by one, the doubters fell silent. The mere elder bowed his head. All this time, we thought them proud, but they were protecting us from a danger we couldn't even see. General Kroll, once so loud, now stood in the corner, saying nothing. His warships had charged Earth like angry children, while humans held the line against the dark. The Concord called an emergency session. This time, no one shouted. Vrel stood before them all and spoke softly. Earth is not our enemy. They are our shield. And we almost broke it by knocking too hard. She played a final file from the human data, short video log from a young scientist named Alera Chen. She stood in a quiet lab, her face tired but kind. If you're watching this, she said, it means you finally understood. Good. Now listen. The wave is still coming. It's slower than we feared, but it's real. We've bought time, but not forever. One day, you'll need to build your own anchors, but not yet. You must learn to care for your worlds first, to stop fighting each other, to become ready. The video ended. No music, no grand speech, just truth. In the silence that followed, the Xylos general stepped forward. I was wrong, he said, his voice rough. We will not send ships again, not until Earth calls. The Concord agreed. They revoked the containment order. They erased all war plans. They declared soul space sacred not by law, but by respect. And then they waited. For weeks. Nothing happened. Earth remained silent. The golden barrier stayed in place. But now, the galaxy watched not with fear, but with gratitude. And somewhere in the heart of that golden light, humans kept working quietly, tirelessly holding back the end of everything, so others could have more time to grow, to heal, to become worthy of the stars. They never asked to be heroes, but they were. And this time, the galaxy finally saw it. Weeks turned into months. The golden barrier around Sol remained unmoving, silent. The Galactic Concord kept its distance. No ships approached. No messages were sent. The armada that once came to challenge Earth now sat idle in dry dock. Its crews humbled, its weapons cold. The galaxy held its breath. Then, one ordinary morning, according to Earth's calendar, a small human vessel emerged from the shimmering wall. It was not a warship, not a flagship, just a modest science corvette, white with blue stripes, no larger than a freighter. It bore no weapons, no emblems, only a simple name painted on its side. Horizon. It moved slowly toward the edge of the system, where the empty dark began. There, it stopped and opened the channel. "This is the UEG science vessel Horizon," said a calm, young voice female, with a slight accent that sounded like old Terran coastal regions. "We invite representatives of the Galactic Concord to approach. One ship only. No weapons. No shields active. Come in peace, and you will be welcomed." The message repeated in Cathari, Xylo, Zarn, Mir, and 43 other languages. Across the Concord, disbelief turned to cautious hope. High Emissary Vrel was the first to respond. She requested permission to go. The council, still shaken by what they had learned, agreed without debate. She took her old ship, the Whisper of Accord, and flew alone. As she neared the horizon, she saw its airlock open. A ramp extended. Inside stood 3 humans, 2 women and 1 man, all in simple gray uniforms. No armor, no sidearms, just open hands. Vrel stepped onto the ramp, her silver eyes wide. The woman who had spoken, a scientist named Dr. Myra Cho, smiled gently. "Welcome," she said. "We've been waiting." Inside, the ship was clean, quiet, and warm. No alien tech. No glowing panels. Just soft lights, wood-like walls, and the faint smell of coffee. "You sent us the truth," Vrel said, her voice trembling. "Why now?" Dr. Cho led her to a small observation room with a window facing Earth. The planet glowed below, blue and alive. "Because you were ready," she said simply. She gestured to a table. On it sat data cores, not encrypted, not locked. Open for anyone to read. "These contain everything," Dr. Cho explained. "How we built the causality anchor. How to detect entropic decay. How to stabilize local spacetime. But also, how not to break it." She looked Vrel in the eyes. "We won't give you the tech to copy. We'll teach you how to earn it." Vrel understood. This wasn't a gift. It was a path. Over the next days, other species sent their wisest Azar mathematicians, mere philosophers, even a quiet Xylos engineer who had once fired on Earth. They came not as conquerors or delegates, but as students. The humans did not lecture. They asked questions. How do your people solve conflicts? What do you do when your world is sick? Who do you protect when resources run low? The answers mattered more than any equation. One evening, General Krull stood on the Horizon's deck, staring at Earth. He had not spoken much since arriving. "I once thought strength was in weapons," he said quietly to Dr. Cho. "Now I see it's in silence, in waiting, in holding the line while others sleep." She nodded. "Strength is knowing when not to act." Back on Earth, deep in the Himalayan Research Center, Director Arlen watched feeds from the horizon. He saw Vrel learning quantum harmonics from a human team. He saw Zarnskala crying as she grasped how Earth had shielded her home without her even knowing. He took a slow breath. Then he pressed a single key. Far above, the golden barrier on Sol flickered just once and softened at the edges. Not gone, but open. Like a door held ajar. It was not an invitation to invade. It was a promise. "We trust you now." News spread across the galaxy. Like starlight, species that had warred for centuries began to talk. The Xylos shared mining tech with the Mir. The Zarn opened their libraries to all. For the first time, The Concorde did not act as rulers, but as learners, and at the center of it all stood Earth, not above, not below. Just beside. They never asked for thanks, never demanded a seat at the head of the table. When the Concorde offered humanity full membership, Director Ireland simply said, "We'll join when we're needed, not before." Years passed. New human ships began to leave Sol not to conquer, but to help. They guided worlds through climate collapse. They taught how to clean oceans. They shared stories, not just science taught, and always, they reminded others, "You must save yourselves. We only show the way." The entropic waves still moved through the galaxy, slow and silent. But now, other species began to build their own small anchors, not full shields, but early warning systems. Classrooms on 100 worlds taught human math. Children grew up hearing the story of the people who said no, so the universe could say yes. High Emissary Vrel returned to Earth many times. Each visit, she brought gifts not of technology, but of art, song, and memory. And each time, the humans gave something back: seeds, poems, blueprints for clean water systems. One day, as she stood on a hill outside Geneva, watching the sunset, a young Cathari child asked her, "Why do humans scare the stars?" Vrel smiled. "They don't scare them," she said. "They remind them to be better." Back in space, the horizon drifted near Mars, preparing for its next journey to a dying world on the galactic rim, where oceans had turned to acid and skies burned red as the ship powered up. Dr. Cho looked at her crew. "Remember," she said, "we're not here to fix them. We're here to remind them they can fix themselves." The engines hummed softly. The ship lifted into the sky, and far below, on a quiet blue planet, billions of people lived ordinary lives, unseen, unnoticed, unthanked, but safe. And that was enough. For in the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't in refusing the galaxy. It was in giving it hope, without ever asking for glory in return.